In this tutorial, we will complete the localization application to add the text fields, which are these text fields, text elements, to the content view, and also to add this button to the content view as well, so that the user is able to select their desired text that they want to be displayed on the application within their desired language. The first thing we need to do is, within the content view, enter the following. At app storage, my languages, var current languages, string equals local dot current dot language code en. So lines 12, what it's doing is getting the language code from app storage, and if a language code doesn't exist, then we use en as the default language for the application. I missed out something. That should be language code dot identifier as well. The next thing we need to do is create our environment object at environment object var language manager. So we create our language manager object, which is type environment object. And the reason why it's environment object is because we need access to the object in any view. At state private var is language selection active equals false. So when it is language selection active is true, that will enable our language selection view, which is this one here, to be displayable on the screens. So it will navigate to that view when there is language selection active is true. Next thing we need to do is delete the lines between 17 and 23, and then we need to add a navigation view, vstack, add our text elements, so it's welcome, message, dot localized, using, no, that should be localized, not uppercase, not lowercase, should be localized, using our localized string, this one here. Current language, On lines 12, that should be current language and not current languages. Current language. So on line 20, what that does, depending on the user's preference of the language, it will localize the first text element. So if the user selected French, then the language would be in French. If the user selected Spanish, it would be in Spanish. Else it would be in English. Dot font, title 2, to style the text field. Font weight, dot bold, dot padding, top 20. Next thing we need to do is to add our button. Is language selection active? It is now true since the user has clicked on the button. And then within our button we need to display a caption or text so that the user understands what the button is meant to do. Language dot localized current language dot sheet is presented. When the user clicks on the button, we will present a sheet, and that sheet will then display our language selection view. So we need to make it binding. Is language selection active? And now we need to display our language selection view and then pass the environment object to the language selection view. Which is the language manager as we defined on lines 13. We give the sheet a bit of padding, 20, and then the next thing we need to do is add our text element, and this will be for the footer text. Footer text, localize using the current language. Dot font, dot footnote, dot foreground color, dot gray, dot padding, top and 20. Dot multi line text alignment, dot center, and then we just add a spacer. We also need to localize our navigation bar text, our title, navigation bar title text, app title, .localize, current, language, display mode, inline. The next thing we need to do is to go to our app file that includes the app main, and then we need to define our at state object. At state object var language manager is equal to language manager dot shared. And then we need to pass the language manager to the environment object so that the environment object is available throughout the application. So now I'll run the application to see if it works or not. It's working. So as you can see, the default language, because we ran it for the first time, the default language is English. So if you want to change the language of the application to another language, just click on the change language button, select Spanish, and as you can see, the language has been changed to Spanish. And then if I stop the application and then rerun it, the language will still be Spanish because the settings is saved in app storage, which is similar to user defaults. As you can see, it's Spanish, and Spanish is selected here as well. I can change it to French. Thank you for joining us. If you found this tutorial helpful, please comment, like and subscribe. See you next week.